The infinity pool reflected a perfect California sunset as I unpacked the last box from my father's study. 3 months had passed since the Coast Guard found their sailboat capsized off Catalina Island, but the pain still felt fresh. Mom and Dad had been experienced sailors. Their accident made no sense, especially on such a calm day. At 32, I hadn't expected to inherit their stunning Malibu beach house so soon. The modernist masterpiece, with its floor-to-ceiling windows and private beach access, had been my childhood paradise. Now it felt too big, too empty, echoing with questions I couldn't answer. I pulled another stack of papers from the box, catching a whiff of Dad's familiar cologne, sandalwood, and sea salt. Being a successful architect had given him an obsession with organization, making it strange that his study contained so many locked drawers and unmarked files. My phone buzzed. Another message from the insurance company. Miss Sarah Mitchell, please call regarding additional documentation needed for your parents' accident claim. Something about their investigation felt off. They kept asking about Dad's activities in the weeks before the accident, about unusual financial transactions, about a woman who had visited his office. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Through the glass panels, I saw a woman in her 50s, elegant in a way that suggested old money. Her silver-streaked dark hair caught the fading sunlight. "Can I help you?" I asked, opening the door. "You must be Sarah." Her smile held a mix of sadness and something else, anticipation. "I'm Catherine Hampton. Your father and we need to talk." She held out a leather portfolio filled with yellowed envelopes and what looked like legal documents. "I'm sorry, but this isn't a good time," I said, starting to close the door. "He called me the day before the accident," she said quietly. James was finally going to tell you the truth. James, not Dad. The familiarity in her voice made my skin prickle. "What truth?" She pulled out a marriage certificate dated 25 years ago. My father's distinctive signature was clear at the bottom, next to a name I didn't recognize, Catherine Marie Sinclair. "Your father had another life, Sarah, one he kept hidden for decades." She gestured at the house. "And this place was part of it." My hands trembled as I examined the certificate. It was real, registered in Monaco 2 years before he married my mother. "That's impossible. He would have told me." "Would he?" Catherine stepped inside, her heels clicking on the marble floor. The same man who kept a separate phone, who disappeared on mysterious business trips, who had a safe full of secrets behind that ridiculous Rothko painting. I froze. No one knew about the safe except family. "How could you?" "Because I helped him choose this house 30 years ago. The safe was my idea, a place to keep evidence in case things went wrong." She moved to the painting that dominated the living room wall. "Have you opened it yet?" "I don't have the combination." "But I do." She ran her fingers along the frame. "James gave it to me the last time we met. He said if anything happened to him, I should make sure you learned the truth." "About what?" "About why he really bought this house. About the real source of his wealth. About why your parents' accident might not have been an accident at all." Thunder rumbled in the distance, unusual for Malibu this time of year. Through the windows, I watched dark clouds gathering over the Pacific, matching my darkening mood. Why come forward now? Because the people who arranged your parents' accident think I have something they want, something James hid here. She pulled out more papers, bank statements, photographs, letters. "Your father wasn't just an architect, Sarah. That was his cover." The photos showed Dad in places I'd never seen, with people I didn't recognize. In some, he was younger, standing with Catherine on various beaches. In others, he was meeting with serious-looking men in suits. Cover for what? James was a very particular kind of problem solver. Governments, corporations, wealthy individuals, they came to him when they needed things to disappear. Money, mainly. Sometimes evidence. Sometimes people. My head spun. "You're saying my father was some kind of fixer? Cleaner?" Those terms are so crude. Catherine sighed. "He was an architect, yes, but of more than just buildings. He designed solutions, created structures that could hide things in plain sight. Like this house, I realized, looking at the complex angles and seemingly arbitrary design choices with new eyes. 2 months ago," she continued, "he called me in panic, said he found something during a job. Something that changed everything. He needed my help to protect it." "What was it?" "I don't know. He never told me, but the next week, your parents' boat was found capsized. Another roll of thunder, closer now. The waves were getting choppy, whitecaps visible in the dying light. Why should I believe you? Because in exactly, she checked her watch, 43 minutes, men will arrive here looking for whatever James hid, and they won't be as polite as I am. As if on cue, my phone buzzed again. Not the insurance company this time, but a blocked number. The text made my blood run cold. Ms. Mitchell, we know about Catherine. Don't trust her. Your father stole something that belongs to us. Return it or you'll learn how your parents really died. Catherine read the message over my shoulder. They're early. We need to find the safe's contents now. I don't even know if you're telling the truth. She pulled out one final envelope addressed to me in Dad's handwriting. The seal was unbroken. He gave me this the day before he died. Said if anything happened, I should bring it to you. My hands shook as I opened it, recognizing Dad's architect's precision in every carefully written word. My dearest Sarah, if you're reading this, then I failed to protect you from my past. Catherine is telling the truth about everything. The combination to the safe is the date we first visited this house, when you were 7. You pointed at the waves and said you wanted to live in the ocean. What you'll find inside will explain everything. But be careful who you trust. Even Catherine doesn't know the whole story. All my love. Dad, P.S. check the pool house at midnight. Some things can only be seen when the moon hits the water just right. I remembered that day perfectly. July 12, 1998. As I turned toward the painting, headlights swept across the driveway. They're here, Catherine said, moving to the windows. 3 black SUVs were approaching the gate. We're out of time. The pool house, I said. Dad left something there. There's no time. Those men. We'll have to get through the security system first. I smiled, finally understanding some of Dad's unnecessary renovations. He didn't just design this house to hide things. He designed it to protect them. I hit a sequence of switches and metal shutters began descending over the windows. The gate mechanism engaged, locks clicking into place throughout the house. Impressive, Catherine admitted. But it won't hold him forever. It doesn't need to. I headed for the hidden staircase Dad had built behind the wine cellar. We just need to get to the pool house before midnight. Above us, the storm finally broke. As rain lashed the windows, I heard car doors slamming, followed by angry voices. Time to find out what secrets this house was really built to protect. The hidden staircase spiraled down into darkness, lit only by emergency strips that pulsed a soft blue. Above us, I heard the first attempts to breach the house's security, muffled thuds against reinforced doors. Your father always was thorough, Catherine said, following me down. But these men, they have resources. The stairs ended at a narrow tunnel, another of Dad's renovations I'd never understood. Now it made perfect sense. A secure passage from the main house to the pool house, running beneath the terrace. How much do you really know about what Dad was involved in? I asked as we hurried through the tunnel. Enough to be dangerous. Catherine's heels clicked on the concrete. James specialized in making problems disappear for very powerful people. But his last job, something changed. My phone buzzed again. The blocked number. Final warning, Ms. Mitchell. The contents of your father's safe belong to us. Don't make his mistake. What mistake? I asked Catherine. He grew a conscience. She smiled grimly. Started keeping insurance, evidence of his client's activities. That's what they're really after. The tunnel ended at another staircase, this one leading up to the pool house. Through the ceiling, I could hear rain hammering the roof. The pool house had always been Dad's private retreat. Mom joked that it was his man cave. But now I wondered what he had really been doing here all those hours. 10 minutes to midnight, Catherine checked her watch. Whatever your father left, it must be aligned with the moonlight somehow. The pool house looked normal at first glance, wet bar, comfortable seating, walls of glass facing the ocean. But as I studied it through my architect's eyes, details jumped out. The angle of the skylights, the precise positioning of mirrors, the unusual patterns in the floor tiles. Help me look for anything unusual, I said, starting to search. Like this. Catherine stood by a small side table, examining its surface. The wood grain. It's not random. Look. She was right. Thin lines in the wood formed a pattern, not obvious unless you knew to look for it. Numbers. Coordinates, I realized. And a time, 12:04 a.m. 4 minutes after midnight, Catherine mused. When the moon will be at its highest point. A crash echoed from the main house. They'd breached the first level of security. I studied the pool house's design again, thinking like Dad. The coordinates in the table, the position of the skylights, the mirrors. It's a puzzle, I said. Dad built this whole structure to create a specific effect at a specific moment. Like a solar calendar? Catherine asked. Lunar. Look at how the skylights are angled. When the moon hits them just right. Thunder boomed overhead, but through breaks in the clouds, I could see the moon approaching its zenith. More crashes from the main house. The second security level breached. Whatever your father hid, Catherine said, it better be worth all this. I checked my phone. 12:03 a.m., 1 minute. We watched as moonlight streamed through the skylights, reflecting off the carefully positioned mirrors. The beams danced across the floor, forming patterns that shifted with each passing second. 12:04 a.m. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, as the moon reached the exact position, the beams converged on a single floor tile. The pattern in the tile, previously invisible, suddenly glowed with phosphorescent paint. Another safe combination. Clever, Catherine breathed. Paint that only shows under specific wavelengths of moonlight. I quickly input the numbers into the main house's safe. Through my phone security app, I watched the digital lock click open. But we weren't the only ones watching. Ms. Mitchell, a man's voice crackled through the pool house speakers. I'm afraid we'll be taking control of your security system now. Screens lit up around the pool house, security feeds showing men in tactical gear moving through the main house. They're good, Catherine said, but your father was better. Sarah, the tunnel. She never finished. The pool house door burst open, and 3 armed men entered. Mrs. Hampton, their leader, smiled coldly. Still interfering in things that don't concern you. Mr. Blake, Catherine's voice was ice. Still cleaning up other people's messes. The safe contents, he said to me. Now. I don't have them. No. He gestured, and his men started searching the pool house. Then why did we just watch you open it remotely? A notification flashed on my phone. A file transfer from the safe's internal server had begun. Dad's final failsafe. If the safe was opened under duress, its contents would automatically upload to a secure location. I just had to keep them distracted long enough for the transfer to complete. Why did you kill them? I asked Blake. My parents? Kill them? My dear, your father is very much alive. Catherine's sharp intake of breath matched my own shock. That's impossible. The accident was staged. Your father's idea, actually. His last great disappearing act. Blake checked his own phone. Though not quite as clever as this little digital heist you're attempting right now. He raised his gun. Stop the transfer. I can't. It's automatic. Then I suggest you find a way, or we'll test whether your father's architectural skills extended to bulletproof glass. The transfer was at 89%. Through the windows, I could see more men surrounding the pool house. 90%. Catherine moved slightly, positioning herself between me and Blake. You're too late, she said. It's not just going to one location. James planned for this. 91%. Did he plan for this? Blake pressed a button on his phone. A video feed appeared on the screens, a man tied to a chair in what looked like a warehouse. Even with the poor quality, I recognized him. Dad. Say hello to your daughter, James. Dad looked up at the camera. His face was bruised, but his eyes were clear. Sarah, don't. The feed cut off. Stop the transfer, Blake said again, or the next video will be considerably less pleasant. Catherine's hand found mine, squeezing once. A signal. If I were you, she said to Blake, I'd be more worried about the Coast Guard helicopter that's about to arrive. He laughed. Nice try. No, really, she smiled. James wasn't the only one who planned for tonight. Distant rotor sounds backed up her words. Blake's men looked up nervously. Last chance, Blake aimed his gun at the windows. Stop it. You know what James always said about chances? Catherine asked. Sometimes you only need one. The lights went out. The darkness lasted only seconds, but it was enough. Catherine pulled me down as gunfire shattered the pool house windows. I heard shouts, running feet, and the increasingly loud thrum of helicopter rotors. Emergency lights flickered on, revealing an empty room. Blake and his men had retreated, probably assuming the helicopter carried law enforcement. Coast Guard? I asked Catherine as we crouched behind an overturned sofa. Better. She pulled out a phone different from her earlier one. Private security. Very expensive, very discreet, and very well armed. Another of your father's contingency plans. Through the broken windows, I saw men in black tactical gear rappelling from the helicopter, engaging Blake's team with military precision. The transfer completed, I said, checking my phone. But they have Dad. No, Catherine stood, brushing glass from her clothes. They have who they think is your father. James always was good at casting convincing doubles. My head spun. So where is he really? Probably watching right now. The question is, did the safe's contents reach him? I looked at my phone again. The files had split, sending copies to multiple secure servers. One of them had to be Dad's. We need to move, Catherine said. Blake's team will regroup once they realize this isn't actually law enforcement. Where? The beach house in Laguna. The real one, not the decoy your father let everyone think was his backup property. We headed for the tunnel entrance, but I stopped. Wait, the coordinates in the table. They weren't for the moon's position, were they? Catherine smiled, finally asking the right questions. No, they're for a location. One where your father is waiting, assuming everything went according to plan. And did it? The files transferred. The security team arrived on schedule. Blake took the bait with the fake hostage video. She checked her tactical phone. I'd say we're right on track. The tunnel felt different heading back, knowing Dad was alive. Questions tumbled through my mind. How long had he planned this? Why fake his death? What had he discovered that was worth all this deception? Your mother's fine too, Catherine said quietly as we walked. She's with James. I stopped dead. You knew? All this time. I knew they were planning something. I didn't know exactly what until tonight. She touched my arm. They wanted to tell you, Sarah. But the less you knew, the safer you were. Safe from what? From the people who hired your father to hide their secrets, people who didn't appreciate him keeping copies of everything they asked him to bury. We emerged into the main house's wine cellar. Above, I could hear the ongoing fight between Blake's team and our helicopter-delivered reinforcements. The insurance company, I realized. The investigators asking all those questions. Blake's people trying to figure out if you knew anything. Catherine led me to another hidden door, this one behind a wine rack. They've been watching you since the accident, waiting to see if James made contact. The door opened to reveal a garage I'd never known existed, containing a single black SUV with tinted windows. Your father modified it, Catherine said, getting behind the wheel. Armored, untraceable, and very fast. As if to emphasize her point, gunfire erupted from the cellar entrance. Blake's men had found us. Catherine floored the accelerator. The SUV burst through a concealed door in the hillside, emerging onto Pacific Coast Highway. They'll follow, I said, checking the side mirror. Let them. She pressed a button on the dashboard. Your father didn't just design buildings, Sarah. He designed escapes. Oil slicked the road behind us. The first pursuing vehicle spun out, causing a chain reaction crash that blocked the highway. The coordinates, I said, pulling out my phone. Where do they lead? A private marina in Newport Beach. James has a boat waiting. From there, she smiled. Well, that depends on what was in the safe. I opened one of the transferred files on my phone. Inside was a video from Dad, dated 1 week before his accident. Sarah, his face filled the screen, looking worried but determined. If you're watching this, then everything and nothing has gone according to plan. The men I work for asked me to hide something. Evidence of what they've really been doing with their humanitarian projects in developing countries. They thought I'd just bury it like always. But some things deserve to see light. He held up a hard drive. This contains proof of everything. Medical experiments, missing aid money, weapons disguised as relief supplies. I couldn't just make it disappear. Not this time. So that's what Blake wants, I said. The hard drive. Not exactly. Catherine took a sharp turn onto a side road. The drive was a decoy. The real evidence was hidden in plain sight, in your father's architectural plans. What? Every building he designed for them contained encoded documentation of their activities. The dimensions, the angles, even the materials, it's all there if you know how to read it. Your father didn't just hide their secrets. He turned their own buildings into evidence against them. The marina appeared ahead, lights reflecting off dark water. A sleek yacht was running dark at the end of a private dock. Blake's people will have the marina covered, I said. Yes, Catherine killed the SUV's lights. That's why we're not going to the marina. She turned down a narrow road that led to a hidden cove. A smaller boat waited there, virtually invisible against the rocky shore. Your father left you the beach house for a reason, Sarah. Not just because it was his greatest architectural achievement, but because it contained the key to understanding all his others. Every secret room, every hidden passage, they're a physical blueprint for finding similar spaces in all the buildings he designed for them. And now those files have been transferred to multiple secure locations, I realized. Even if they kill us, the evidence is already out there. Exactly. She parked the SUV. Ready to see your parents? You mean? They're on the boat, along with everything your father needs to expose 2 decades of corporate crimes. She handed me a gun. But first, we have to get there. Movement caught my eye, shadows detaching from the rocks around us. But these weren't Blake's men. Guardian angels, Catherine explained as the figures emerged, more private security, heavily armed. Very expensive ones. How can we afford all this? Let's just say your father didn't work for free. He kept a percentage of everything they asked him to hide. Call it insurance. We made our way down to the boat, protected by our anonymous guardians. As we got closer, I saw 2 familiar figures standing at the stern. Mom, Dad, both very much alive. Both waiting to help finish what Dad had started. Ready to disappear for a while. Catherine asked as we approached the boat. Your father has one last lesson to teach you, how to turn architecture into justice. Behind us, sirens wailed in the distance. Blake's men would be regrouping, searching. But they were too late. The evidence was out, and the architects of deception were about to become the architects of truth. 1 year later, I stood on the balcony of our villa in the Greek islands, watching another perfect sunset paint the Mediterranean. The local papers sat on the table beside me, their headlines screaming about another corporate giant falling as Dad's architectural evidence continued to unravel decades of crimes. We'd spent the past year moving between safe locations, working with carefully chosen journalists and prosecutors to release the information methodically. Each building Dad had designed contained its own damning story, encoded in measurements and materials that only he could interpret. More coffee? Mom appeared beside me, looking younger than she had in years. A year of freedom from pretense had been good for her. Thanks. I took the cup, breathing in the familiar aroma. Has Dad decoded the Singapore complex yet? Almost. Catherine's helping him with the final translations. She smiled. Who knew your father's other wife would become such a close family friend? It had been strange at first, accepting Catherine into our circle, but her dedication to Dad's mission and her role in protecting our family had earned her a permanent place in our unlikely team. 3 more indictments today, Dad announced, emerging from his study with papers in hand. The evidence from the Tokyo office building was particularly damning. His hair had more gray now, but his eyes sparkled with purpose. Exposing the truth had given him new life. Blake's people have stopped looking for us, Catherine added, joining us with her own coffee. Amazing how quickly loyalty disappears when bank accounts freeze. The past year had seen a dramatic dismantling of the organization that had employed Dad. Each revealed secret led to more arrests, more seized assets, more dominoes falling. The beach house sold yesterday, Mom said softly, to a lovely family with 3 kids. I felt a twinge of nostalgia, but no regret. The house had served its purpose, protecting Dad's evidence until it could be released to the world. Did they find the secret passages? I asked. Some, Dad grinned. Left a few for the kids to discover. Every house should have some mysteries. Catherine raised her cup. To architectural justice. To family, Mom added. To truth, Dad said. To new beginnings, I finished. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across our villa's white walls. Dad had designed this place too, but differently. No hidden rooms, no encoded secrets. Just open spaces and honest angles reflecting the freedom we'd found in truth. My phone buzzed, another message from the international prosecutor handling the cases. More documents needed, more testimony to prepare. The work wasn't over, but now we've faced it together. You know, Catherine said, "Your father's buildings were never really about hiding things. They were about preserving truth until the right moment." Like time capsules of justice, Mom agreed. Or architectural witnesses, Dad added, silent until they needed to speak. I looked at them, my complex, brilliant family. Mom, who'd played her part perfectly for years. Dad, who'd turned architecture into evidence. Catherine, who protected his secrets and helped reveal them at exactly the right moment. The villa's lights came on automatically as darkness fell, illuminating the simple beauty of honest design. No more hidden meanings, no more encoded messages. Just a home for a family that had finally found its truth. Next week's revelation should be interesting, Dad said, reviewing his notes. The London headquarters has quite a story to tell. And we'll be here to help tell it, I said. Above us, stars began to appear in the deepening blue. Somewhere across the ocean, a family was settling into their new beach house, unaware of the history written in its walls. But that was okay. Some stories need to end so others can begin. We'd found our new story here, in the simple truth of family, complicated, unexpected, but stronger for having faced its secrets together. The night breeze carried the scent of jasmine from the garden. No more hidden passages, no more secret safes. Just the open path forward, built on foundations strong enough to support both truth and love. And in the end, that was the greatest design of all.